Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a brand new video. So happy Easter. Obviously I'm well aware that by the time you guys see this video Easter would have been and gone, but today here it is Easter Sunday for us, and it's actually a nice day for the first time in days. The sun is shining, which always makes my mood a little bit better. It is still quite early in the morning. We're not really up and about doing much yet, as you can probably tell. I'm still in my pajamas, but I was just picking out Avery's outfit for the day. We're actually going for dinner this evening, and I've pulled this dress out and I kind of want her to wear it again before she grows out of it. So this is like a sort of dress and petticoat set. It's very old-fashioned because this was actually mine when I was little. I think it's aged 4 years. So I've just pulled out some white tights and some little flowers to go in her hair to go with it. Because it's sunny, I think this will be warm enough if she has a blanket as well while we're outside. But yeah, I just want her to wear it again before she grows out of it because it's special, because it was mine, and I've actually got memories of my childhood while I was wearing this dress, so it's extra special. She did wear a couple of items, baby items, when she was really small that were mine as well, and I just think that those are the extra special outfits. In terms of plans for our Easter Sunday, like I said, we are going out for dinner later. We're actually going to an all-you-can-eat buffet, our favourite one here. We did look into kind of carveries and traditional Easter Sunday dinners, but we figured, why do we need to stick to tradition? Why don't we just do what we enjoy? So that is what we're doing. Avery does have an Easter egg, and I'm actually considering melting some of it and mixing it with some milk so she can have some. We didn't buy the egg, we weren't going to, just because we didn't think it was fair, but she did get one gifted to her from school. So we thought, so that she can still experience an Easter egg, it would be nice to melt some up and give it to her. So probably going to do that today as well. Josh and I do have Easter eggs, but I'm really trying to have a bit of self-control and not dive into it yet, because I want to save myself for later. I want to be able to really eat my money's worth. I think that's the best bit about all you can eat. Is trying to challenge yourself to see if you can eat your money's worth. I do actually want to do my hair. I want to put some more blonde in the front. I do eventually plan to go darker, more kind of like bronze than blonde, but I'm gonna wait until I can actually get that done professionally. So for now, just to make my hair look a little bit less grown out, I just want to do a bit of a money piece, but I realised I didn't actually have any bleach powder left, so I'm having to wait for that to be delivered. So whether or not I get to do that today really depends on what time that gets delivered. What I am doing is kind of getting bits and bobs together for our trip away. So we're all going away next week. Josh is off to Prague, and me and the boys are staying with my mum for a few days up country. So to make the last minute packing easier on myself, I figured I'd just start getting bits and bobs together, pack what I can. So kind of that's what I've been doing. I've got to wait till about 10-11ish when I get an update from Amazon to find out what time my hair stuff is going to be here, and then that will kind of help me in figuring out what I'm going to do for the rest of the day until dinner. And she's all dressed. Such a pretty girly. Such a pretty girly. In Mummy's old outfit. It fits her really, really well. Not sure how much longer it's going to fit you for, but you look beautiful. Yes, you do. They just don't make clothes like this anymore, do they? She's doing well. Her eye's still bad. We've had to stop using the azithromycin eye drops for the time being until I can speak to a pharmacist on Tuesday, because every time we give her the eye drops, like the sides of her face kind of puff up a little bit and her eyes look really, really sore, and I just want to make sure that's not signs of an allergic reaction before we continue giving them to her. But it's such a shame, isn't it, Pudding? Your poor eye. Yeah, I know. You're gorgeous. Yes, you are. Morning guys, it's Monday. I did manage to get my hair done yesterday. It's not a massive difference, but it is a bit brighter in the front, so I'm happy with it. And we went out for dinner. It was really nice. although I felt like I was going to explode by the end of the evening. I ate so much, probably way too much, and that was on top of the half an Easter egg I ate earlier in the day. Feeling much better now though, thank goodness. Anyway, baking again. I have some birthdays coming up, and one of which isn't till next week, I think. But because we're away towards the end of next week, or sorry, towards the end of this week and into next week, I thought I would do what I did with Avery's cake and bake the sponge and then freeze it. It seemed to work really, really well. It kept its moisture really well. So for this cake, it's just a standard chocolate sponge, but I'm actually going to make it in sheet cake form. So I've got this tin, which I actually use for just other cooking. I figured I would just use that instead of buying something new for the sake of one thing, because I'm trying something out on this cake. I'm trying a little bit of a design and a technique that I've seen used online. So I'm hoping it turns out okay. So yeah, so that's the first thing I'm going to be baking, just the sponge, nothing too exciting. But it is actually my mum's birthday this week, and the day that we go to stay with her is actually the day after her birthday. And normally I don't get to bake for my side of the family because they all live so far away. It's normally just usually my brother and sister-in-law and their kids, and then our family that I bake for. So I'm really excited to be able to bake something for my mum. The journey is quite long though, and because we have an electric van, we do have to stop for a while to charge. So our journey is going to end up being around 6 hours, maybe even more. So I figured a cake might not stand that time being out of the fridge and being kind of knocked around. So I'm not going to risk it. What I am going to do though is bake my mum some cookies. I'm going to use the same recipe as the cream egg cookies that I use, the Brookie's Bakehouse recipe. But my idea was I would actually make Kinder Bueno cookies. So the base of the cookie is just going to be a normal chocolate chip cookie, but obviously that really big New York chunky style. And then for the filling, I've actually picked this up. This was from Amazon. I did do a little bit of research. You can get things like this in the supermarkets, but I just wanted convenience. So this is hazelnut cream luxury Italian spread, and this is from the brand Black Milk. Now I will say this is quite expensive. It was about £9 for this one job, but this actually tastes just like the filling inside a Kinder Bueno bar. And then I have bought a couple of the Kinder Bueno bars, and I'm going to break these up and use a chunk of these and kind of stick them to the top of each cookie. So that's my idea. I'm not going to do all that baking today, so obviously I want these to be as fresh as possible. But what I am going to do is I'm going to make the cookie dough and actually assemble the cookie itself with the cream inside, and then pop them in the freezer. And then I'm probably going to bake them on Wednesday because we travel on Thursday, and I can bake them straight out of the freezer, so that works out really, really well. And that way I've only got to get the stand mixer out once before we leave. And then when we get home from our trip, I'll have to get all my stuff out again because I'll be making the buttercream for the sheet cake that I'm making. It's actually for my sister-in-law's birthday. And I'm going to be making Swiss meringue buttercream, which I haven't made in quite a while. I've been using Russian buttercream more so because it's a little bit more convenient to make, but I miss the flavour of Swiss meringue buttercream. I just feel like it's creamier and it's lighter, and it's just less, it tastes less buttery, if that makes sense, and it's less sweet. It's creamy and it's light. It's so nice. Anyway, that's not this week, that is next week. So for now I'm just going to crack on and make the sponge first, and then while the sponge is baking, I will make the cookies. So for the sponge, it's just my basic sponge cake recipe. I say it's not really my recipe. I feel like a basic sponge cake is just, it's a general recipe that I think everyone should have, or everyone should know, and it is just butter, but I've been using Stork recently. It's more cost effective and it works just as well. I find it actually makes kind of taller, fluffier cakes. And then caster sugar, eggs, and flour, self-raising flour. I weigh my eggs. I like to weigh my eggs for how much of the rest of the ingredients I'm using. So for this sheet cake, I'm going to use 500 grams. So I'll do 500 grams of eggs. And I will switch out a little bit of my flour for cocoa powder because I'm going to make this cake a chocolate cake. And yeah, not going to film that part because I feel like I've done it so many times on my channel before, but I will definitely come back before I start making the cookies. My cake is baking in the oven. It's doing really, really well. It's actually risen loads. I'm baking it on a really low temperature for a longer amount of time, so it's on 160, and I expect it to take about an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. We are half an hour in, and I'm kind of hoping it stopped rising now because it's hit the top of the tin. If it gets any taller, it might start oozing over the sides, but it's going to be a nice height, higher than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with these cookies. The first thing I'm actually going to do before I even start making the dough is I'm going to portion out my filling, and I'm going to freeze it basically. So I'm going to portion it out and then put it in the freezer so the filling hardens up, just so that it's easier to wrap the dough around it. There's 230 grams in this. Based on the recipe, I figured out I'm going to make about 10 cookies. So I'm going to do about 20 grams of filling per portion. So I've cut my parchment into 10 individual squares. I'm just using the lid from the pot just to hold the parchment down, and I'm just going to scoop out some of the cream and attempt to make it kind of as uniform as possible in sort of a sphere, but it's not going to look very neat. So that's 19 grams, I'm happy with that, and I'm just gonna get each dollop as close to 20 grams as possible. So that's my filling all portioned out, so I'm just going to pop this in the freezer to set, and then I'm going to work on the dough. For all of the ingredients and the measurements and everything for these cookies, I definitely suggest checking out Brookie Bakehouse. I make mine slightly different. She uses, I think, 150 grams per cookie. I make mine slightly less in weight just because I feel like all that work only to make, I don't know, not that many cookies, it's just not worth it to me. So I make the cookies slightly smaller. They're still pretty beefy cookies. I make them slightly smaller, but I get more cookies out of the dough. You don't really get that much dough though. I'm making 10 cookies. But like I said, check out Brookie Bakehouse. She's all over social media as well, and her chocolate chip cookie recipe is online. So I'm just gonna crack on. Apparently the key to this dough is to not over mix. So basically you do all of your wet ingredients, your sugar, well, 2 types of sugar, your butter. I am gonna have to microwave mine slightly because it's still in the fridge and I think it needs to be softened. And then you add in all of your dry ingredients and then your chocolate chips, and then you assemble your cookie if you're going to be using a filling. So I'm going to crack on with that. Morning guys, it's Wednesday, we leave tomorrow, so I baked all of the cookies this morning. I think they've turned out really nice. The filling didn't leak out too much, so I've got my Kinder Bueno bars, and I've also got some melted chocolate here, which is what I'm going to use as like a glue. So I'm probably going to use like 1 square of the Kinder Bueno on the top of each cookie. Just gotta hope that when I crack them apart they don't all break. So that's all of my pieces ready to go. So I'm literally just going to put a dollop of the chocolate on each cookie, and now I'm just going to take the Kinder Bueno pieces and just stick them to the top of each cookie. And I think that's just enough kind of decoration on top to suggest what flavour the cookies are, but I think they look really good. So all I need to do with these now is let the chocolate set completely, and then I have this little box to pop them in. I don't think I'm going to fit all of them in this box. I may need to use more than one box, but this is what I'm going to use to transport them and give them to my mum for her birthday, which is today, by the way. So little lady has been spending some time in her stander. I'm actually about to get her out because we need to pop down to the doctor's surgery to pick up your medicine for while we go away, don't we, Pudding? She does actually go in her stander at school pretty much every single day, but obviously while she's at home on school holidays, we need to get you in the stander at home, don't we, Pudding? So really school holidays is the only time that I need to get Avery in her stander, which is quite nice. So I have a little bit of an update and maybe even a bit of a query, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm baffled and I'm also slightly heartbroken. So little Avery seems to be losing hair. And when I say losing hair, I mean I was doing her hair yesterday. Yeah. And I noticed a huge chunk where her hair was just completely missing. It didn't look... Yeah, I know. It didn't look sore or aggravated in any way. It was just gone. I am not too sure how well she'll let me show you at the moment, but I've managed to hide it with a little plait, but just under there, can you see? Like, there's an actual bald patch, and I have no idea where it's come from. I have no idea how long it's been there, because normally, whoop, nearly tripped over my tripod. Normally, I put her hair kind of back on the top of her head, so I guess I just haven't been noticing it. But it doesn't look aggravated. The skin looks healthy underneath, but it just doesn't look like the hair is going to be growing back anytime soon. So I did a little bit of research on Google. Probably not the best idea, but from what I can tell, it looks to be some form of alopecia. I have sent a text to Avery's community nurse to contact her paediatrician. That seems to be the fastest way at the moment, and let her know just to see if she has any ideas. But guys, you all know how much of a trademark Avery's hair is for her, and I'm kind of heartbroken, I'm not gonna lie. I really hope this isn't something that's just gonna spread over her whole head. And don't get me wrong, I'm fully aware how superficial this all sounds. There are bigger problems in the world. Avery has bigger problems herself, but it's just another thing, you know, and it's just sad. Do you care? Does it bother you? No? I hope not. But yeah, if any of you guys have experienced anything like this, let me know. I'll insert a picture of it so that you can see it better. It is just that one patch. I've checked the rest of her head, as far as I can tell, it's just that one patch. It's really strange. It's definitely not been pulled out, A, because the skin's not aggravated, B, because we would have noticed, and she certainly would have told us if that much hair had been ripped out of her head. And I don't think it's to do with where she's kind of rubbing on things, equipment and whatnot, because it's too specific of a spot. It's not like, you know, a general area where she tends to rub her head a lot, and that specific spot there, she doesn't, you know, she doesn't rub that specific spot often. So I don't think it's that. So I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out. But anyway, we're going to pop down to the pharmacy to make sure Avery has enough medicine. I also need to pick up another lot of antibiotics for myself, just because I'm not sure if my UTI has fully gone away yet, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. I do have my anatomy scan tomorrow. What are you shouting at? I have my anatomy scan tomorrow, my 20-week scan. So I'm looking forward to seeing baby boy and making sure he's all healthy. I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of like held off on buying anything baby related aside from the few clothes and bits and bobs that we've bought. Like, I'm holding off on buying the bigger items because I want to make sure everything's okay in the scan. I was never like this with the other three, but obviously with everything that happened with Avery, I'm just a little bit more on edge and I really don't want to tempt fate. I know. So we're gonna check tomorrow to make sure he's doing well, and then we'll be on our way to Nana's house, won't we, Pudding, when Daddy gets home from work? Yeah. Are you singing? You singing a song? Yeah. Afternoon, guys. I think it's afternoon, maybe just shy of the afternoon. Anyway, it's Thursday and I not long got back from my scan. Baby boy is doing well, he's growing well and he is healthy. Here he is. He was actually wriggling around loads. I could feel and see him kicking at the same time, which was really nice. I remember doing that with Avery's scan as well. It's just a really surreal feeling being able to actually see the movements and feel it at the same time. We saw his little mouth moving, he was blowing kisses, we saw his little feet, his little tiny toes and fingers. Everything looks healthy. She did a thorough check of his heart, and from what they would check in an anatomy scan, she said everything looks okay. She checked his brain as well, everything looks fine there, all of his measurements were good. He's measuring maybe a couple of days small, but that's obviously nothing to worry about, it's only a couple of days. And none of my babies really have been overly big, so yeah, feel relieved and happy that everything's okay there. Anyway, like I said, it's Thursday and we are leaving this evening to travel up country. I have still got a lot of packing to do, so I need to crack on. Morning, guys. It is Friday. We are here at my mum's house. We just waved off all of the boys, I say just, about an hour or so ago, so they're on their way to the airport to head to Prague. They all seemed very excited this morning. Little lady is in her pea pod. She's managing well in it. We managed to bring her pea pod with us just because we thought this would be the better option than bringing the wheelchair in and out of the house when the wheels are dirty and whatnot. But we're here for 4 days, so she definitely needed somewhere to sit and be comfortable. But you're a happy girly, aren't you? And then the boys are both yeah, they are both playing on their iPads. We're gonna get them some clothes out in a minute, aren't we, to get dressed into. And then this is my mum and dad's dog. She looks a lot scarier than she is. She's actually a real teddy bear, aren't you? Aren't you? You are just a big teddy bear, aren't you? Hey? So my mum's actually had to pop out for a few hours. She's got a little bit of work to do. So I bought my laptop and I thought what I would do while we're here, since my mum has a printer, is retype out Avery's kind of little care plan that I keep in her baby bag. It does come in handy. I just keep kind of consultant details, all of her med information and bits and bobs like that, but it definitely needs redoing because the last time I did it was when Josh and I went to the Maldives. So that is my plan for this morning. Kids are all quite happy and yeah, just wait for my mum to get back. But I'm going to close this vlog out here now so that I can spend some time with my mum. I think my sister-in-laws are coming over tomorrow and we're going to have a little bit of a girly evening with kids. And yeah, just enjoy some time together while the boys are away. Hopefully they don't get up to too much trouble. So I shall see you guys again soon in the next video. Bye, guys.